So, back for another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Screamtail. Basically a budget Cresselia. That's kind of how I see this Pokemon. It's a budget Cresselia. It's not as bulky. It's close to as bulky on the special side, I guess, with the nerfed Cresselia. But yeah, it's still one of the bulkiest Pokemon that we have in the format. So it really wants to just be bulking out, be able to set Trick Room because you can't KO it, and that's about it. So, at least it's good as its job, it just doesn't do any damage at all. That's because its 65s are just terrible. 65 is just really, really bad. So you choose Psychic Fangs so that you have some damage. Because obviously, you want some kind of offensive move. This has utility outside of being able to break the Focus Sash. It can destroy the screens that could be set up by the opponent. So, something that's actually stab as well. So, going to be doing a tiny bit of chip damage, but otherwise, it's there to sit on the field, set Trick Room, and then just help out with the helping hand, basically. It's supposed to be just bulky enough that you can't deal with it, therefore it just gets to Trick Room. And the bulk is ridiculous. Like, again, not as bulky as Cresselia and all that kind of levels, but it survives as Specs Make It Rain from Golden Go. That's what the EVs are for, and then dumps its defense. But that's quite ridiculous. The fact that it can survive a Specs Make It Rain. Not the Steel Terror one, unfortunately, but still incredibly bulky. And then you get Citrus Berry as well to bulk yourself out even further. So, yeah, that's going to be quite difficult to KO. The downside is it's just going to sit on the field and not really do too much. So this slot here is to stop it from being super passive. Like, obviously, Helping Hand's going to be great, and you can do that in and out of Trick Room. But Encore is probably your most consistent bet for not passiveness. Because its speed is entirely reasonable as well. Like, 111 is fast. Like, really fast. So it's going to outspeed quite a few Pokemon and be able to Encore them in. Into whatever you want to be knocking them into. And also slow enough that the super fast things in Trick Room, you're going to be able to Encore them as well. So Encore is going to be a good way of being able to make it Screamtail not useless. Imprison is reasonable on Screamtail as well. If you want to just be imprisoned in the Trick Room, it's bulky enough to be able to sit on the field and not be KO'd, therefore the opponent can't Trick Room. So Imprison will be very, very reasonable as well. Perisong is going to be nice at, if you've gone for Helping Hands, got 2 KOs, then Perisong can seal the end game very nicely. And it would be remiss of me not to mention Sing, because that is definitely a way to stop it from being passive. I wouldn't really recommend too much else on the Screamtail in this moveset if it just wants to be going for Helping Hand Trick Room, but those are probably the best options. I would lean towards Encore because that's going to be quite consistent as a useful move on the turn. Like, Sing is obviously one of the better ones when it works, but inconsistent. Like, 55 is not great, so Sing is good, but inconsistent. So yeah, that's basically what the Screamtail is likely to do throughout the metagame if it is used. Because it's going to be so bulky, it'll be able to set Trick Room, and it can still help out with Helping Hand and Encore as well, which is a pretty reasonable combination. The other niche of Screamtail is going to be Perisong. It's the bulkiest Perisong setter. So if you do want to be going that pair with Gothitelle, obviously, it's going to be able to Perisong. So you don't really care about doing any kind of damage because you're going to be going for Perisong for the KO. So you could justifiably run a Mental Herb as well. Like, Citrus Berry is also good. Mental Herb, because you don't have a offensive move, that means that you're not going to be useless if you do get taunted. And the combination of Disable Encore is going to be quite nice at locking down the Perish Trap. Because then if you manage to lock them into a move, and then you're going to be able to disable that, they can't do any damage, they can't be able to break through the Perisong. So that could be quite nice as well. And again, you could run Sing. Either over any of those 2 slots, it could be Sing. Because Sing has been used previously on things like Azumarill, because then it stops it being passive on the Perisong turns. So that's worth mentioning. But again, Disable Encore, very consistent. Sing, inconsistent, but great when it works. So yeah. Other things that Screamtail can do, it is bulky enough to make use of the Calm Mindset. It's not like Cresselia, where it got Moonlight as recovery. Screamtail's best option is Wish. And if you want to fit Wish on there, you have to sacrifice Protect, which is a bit awkward with Wish, and you actually want to Protect on the Wish turn, but you can't. Or you have to sacrifice some coverage. And then, like, you can't hit Dark-type Store if you only have Psychic, and then you can't, like, having just the Dazzling Gleam. That's probably more justifiable, but not going to be as good with the coverage of Psychic and Fairy, because it's really, really good coverage anyway. And if you're going for Calm Mind, you just maximize attack, because you want to actually do damage. The bulk is good enough that you'll be able to bulk yourself out with the Calm Mind. You just want max attack, or max special attack, I should say, because then you'll do okay damage at the start. You'll start to rack up the damage much quicker if you are investing, because if you don't at all, then you'll probably need like 2 or 3 Calm Minds to match just a 1 Calm Mind if you are modest. And speaking of doing damage, Choice Specs is okay. There had been some Choice Specs Cresselias, and it's weaker than Choice Specs Cresselia, but this will make it do some okay damage. The fact that it's so bulky and it will sit on the field, it won't like really OHKO things, but it will two-shot a lot of things. And it'll be so bulky that it'll be difficult to KO. It'll, like, be close to a Tapu Fini Choice Specs, like that has been previously. Like, that doesn't really pick up KOs, like Okos, but two-hit KOs. And so would Screamtail to a lesser extent. Also, the IVs look a little bit weird here because of photosynthesis. So the idea would be to still pair this with a Torkoal so that you get the sun, and then with these IVs, then you're able to get a special attack boost with your photosynthesis. Because if you have one more in special defense, then suddenly it's a special defense boost. If you have max speed, then suddenly it's a speed boost instead. Like, speed boost could be okay. Like, speed boost is fine, but I would argue that because you don't have enough special attack to really be hitting super hard, then you probably want the boost into special attack, if you are the choice spec set, that is, as well. With the Carmine one, having the special defense boost is going to be fine as well. It doesn't really matter. You could get away with the IV drop as well on this one. That would be fine. You don't need 127 because special attack is the higher one. It goes in order of priority down like this, so special attack is higher, so that one's fine. But with these ones, special defense boost is what you want as well. Terra Steel is probably going to be the best defensive typing you can go for. You really want to be doing defensive Steel like Terra, or defensive Terra if you are going for Terra with Screamtail for some reason. Obviously the options of Dark, so you're not going to be taunted, especially on this one. If you could go back to Citrus Berry and then go back to Dark for taunt. Immunity from Pranksters, that'll be fine as well. Grass will stop the spores and all that from Amoonguss and Brute Bonnets. But if you are the Choice Specs one, you should probably go Psychic so you can actually do some proper damage. So yeah, Screamtail, it's a unique one because all the other Paradox Pokemon can hit really hard. This one does not, but that's not its job. Unless you're going Choice Specs, of course.